We flash back to this date in history, to 2015, when SMU's Bryson DeChambeau won the NCAA Division I Men's Individual Championship. As a junior, DeChambeau became the first individual champion in the history of the SMU men's golf program. Bryson received both his national championship trophies and the Arnold Palmer Award for being the individual medalist. He would then go on to win the US Amateur later that summer, thus becoming the fifth player to win the NCAA individual title and the US Amateur in the same year. So DeChambeau turned pro in 2016, and his success has continued onto the professional level. Not only has he found individual success with 5 PGA Tour wins, but he's also earned his way onto the 2018 US Ryder Cup team that competed in Paris and the 2019 President's Cup team that was victorious at Royal Melbourne in Australia. So Damon Hack, just to come to you first, 26 years of age, ranked 13th in the world. That is quite the body of work. We can't deny it. So where would you say Bryson DeChambeau's place is in the game right now?
And I think it's one of great contradictions and one of being an enigma, one of the great enigmas on the PGA Tour. He's this big, bulked up player who happens to be very sensitive. He's this scientist who has a lot of flair and artistry, actually, to his game. Also, scientists are supposed to be somewhat flatliners. He obviously is not. He's extremely volatile at times. A fascinating player in person. I'm glad he's in the game. He's clearly proven he belongs. A 5-time winner on the PGA Tour. You showed the resume: NCAA champ, U.S. Amateur champ, President's Cup member, Ryder Cup member. He's always fascinating to talk about, to talk to, and I'm glad he's in the game.
I think you're right. He's such an intriguing character. And over the last 9 months, I think we can say that he has intensified the spotlight that has been on him even more, as he, of course, revealed that he planned to look like a different person in time for the 2019-20 PGA Tour season. And he was true to his word, as he put on 30 pounds through weight training in hopes of preventing injury and improving his game. So he's noticeably improved in one area, and that's off the tee. So as he's averaging at more than 320 yards, that has him leading the PGA Tour in driving distance. He's also ranked 3rd in strokes gained off the tee. However, his driving accuracy is only 60.44%, which ranks him tied for 122nd on tour. So, Robert Damon, we can see here, we've seen it with our own eyes, that Bryson DeChambeau, he is hitting bombs, but he's generally not considered in that argument as the best driver in the game. Why not? And should he be?
Well, it's going to take a little time. You don't birdie the first hole and then someone comes out and hands you the trophy. You've got to amass a lot of time of driving it as well as he has been driving it. I'll give him credit, because I thought chasing that much size and speed that quickly would really end up in disaster, just based on what I've seen other people do in the past. And in the last 4 events he played, Phoenix, Genesis, Mexico, Arnold Palmer Invitational, he drove it fantastic, long and straight. I will give him absolute credit for that. But amongst the best is too small a sample size. I look back at the player that I think the best, the 2 best actually, Dustin and Rory. And since 2015, Rory's stats: strokes gained off the tee, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 6th, 1st, and 6th. DJ's 2nd, 1st, 4th, and then 27th this year. You put up those kind of numbers, then we can talk. Until then, we've got a little ways to go.
We need more than just a few events. And Robert, I completely agree. He has changed my mind, my opinion on what can be done physically to gain distance. I didn't think it would be possible to really create that much more speed, that much more distance, that much bulk in such a short amount of time, and see it translate. And it's remarkable what he's been able to do. But I agree with you. I don't think he's in the conversation quite yet with Rory and DJ. Those would be my 2 as well. That would be the best driver. But without question, if he has sustainability in doing this week in and week out, oh yeah, he's in this conversation, Damon.
Stats are wonderful, Paige and Robert. They tell us where a player is, what he or she needs to improve on and work on. Bryson DeChambeau needs to win more to become, in my opinion, one of the great drivers. And I think that great driving has to be the cause of the winning. It has to be a weapon. It's a weapon for Rory McIlroy. It's a weapon for Dustin Johnson. The driver was a weapon for Davis Love III, a weapon for Greg Norman, a weapon for Sergio Garcia. Their total driving was a huge part of why they were so successful on the PGA Tour. Bryson hasn't won in a couple of years now. He has to prove that getting bigger is going to make sure that he gets better for the long term and that he starts knocking off trophies. And that's when that driver will truly be viewed and perceived as a weapon.
Yeah, we've all sort of weirdly enjoyed watching Bryson go under this experiment. Robert, I know you were extremely sort of speculating the success of what it could end up with at the beginning back in October. But hey, it seems to have worked out really well for him. But it does seem like it is still unfolding. And as all of you have alluded to, the sample size is just too small right now. It could be incredible, and we could see him go on to achieve huge things as a result of the changes that he's made, Robert. But I get the feeling that you are a little bit more surprised in a good way about the results that we've seen.
Yeah, happily surprised. The quest for distance has ruined more golfers than probably anything else, trying to become who you aren't and trying to play a game that isn't really yours. And the game that Bryson had built for himself, which was so unique, wasn't built around power. But it worked. It absolutely worked. It was different. It was his own. But the results were there. And then when he decided to go ahead and do this, it absolutely scared me. I was concerned for him, not so much anymore, because really off the tee, again, small sample size, and we don't know what's going on during this layoff, but it looked really good when we went into the layoff.
Yeah, and you have to remember too, we're not that far removed from President's Cup. I know months wise we are, but competition wise we're not, where he was really hidden. Tiger didn't put him in the lineup that much. He kind of kept him hidden. So he was struggling. So again, it is really about sustainability and seeing this turn into a long pattern and not just a few good weeks.
Yeah, for what started as something that could have been quite critical, turns out it could have been for his own benefit. And we're looking forward to watching how he improves off the tee even more. But we know that Bryson DeChambeau is a man of numbers. He's the mad scientist. So that leads us nicely on to a game of numbers ourselves. Paige McKenzie, other than driving distance, what do you believe is the most important number for Bryson this season?
The theme continues, and for me, it's 10, meaning top 10s. 3 top 10s in his last 3 PGA Tour starts, and I just want to see the consistency continue. I said sustainability for the driving, but consistency for the game. So for me, really, Bryson, all of the changes he's done, he's proven himself right. But I do want to see this level stay at a high level, and that top 10s might turn into top 10 world ranking as well.
I like the top 10s, Paige. I want to see a 6th PGA Tour win for Bryson DeChambeau. He hasn't won since 2018 at the Shriners in the fall of that year. And listen, these changes, we've all talked about it. In some ways, they were dangerous. In some ways, maybe a leap of faith. I think he's proven he can play with a bulked up body, but it's all about getting victories. He had such a quick clip of wins going earlier in his career, and it's been stalled. He needs to obviously get into the top 10 and have some, competitive weeks. He's had some, notably in the Middle East. Can Bryson DeChambeau win with this new body? That's when we'll know that he has truly arrived after making this drastic change.
Yeah, I'm with you, Damon Hack. I've gone for the number 1 to represent getting on the top of those leaderboards and winning. I think he's been so public with what he's been saying about this transformation. He wants to take golf to places that it's never been taken before. I mean, these are bold statements that Bryson's been making, and the only way to really solidify that reputation that he wants is to go out there and win. He needs to let the clubs do the talking, let the golf do the work, a little bit, potentially less of this, and a few more trophies on that mantelpiece. What do you reckon, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what it's about for Bryson. I went with a number it's more of a range of numbers, 50 to 125, and that's the yardage that he needs to work on. I look at 2 great drivers of the ball, Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson. They're excellent drivers, and they became the best players in the world, not with their driver, but improving that stat dramatically. If you're going to hit it as long and as straight as Bryson has been, you're going to have a bunch of wedge shots, feel shots, touch shots. In the this last season, in that range, he's tied for 134th on tour. 2019, 155th. 2018, 82nd. 17, 121. That, if he's going to drive it longer, that's what needs to improve to equal your number 1.